So, one of the things I talk to people a lot about is praying. So, you know, some people don't have a very good relationship with God. They don't understand who God is. They do not understand that God is absolutely for them, not against them in any way. And so, a lot of people have a fear relationship with God, and they do not know the amount of God's love for them. And so I encourage people just to pray. I mean, like, you can't get to know me unless you talk to me. And you can't get to know God unless you talk to God. So just start talking to God. If you really want to know who God is, ask Him. He'll show you. You'll get all sorts of people who will testify to you about their relationship with God. That's what will happen. But you have to recognize that also the devil will certainly put his 2 cents in also. And so be very selective. But at the same time, God will show you who He is if you ask Him. God is very loyal and upright. And so these things are a very big part of our relationship with God. Understanding who God is very complex and takes a time, investigation. And many times you have to look at the Word of God. Understand that the Word of God is who we regulate our relationship with God by. Not necessarily always by opinions of others. Not always by the opinions of others is not a very good way to live anyway, because they vary. Our opinions of other people vary all the time. And so I can give practical instructions on how to live. But one of the things I look at too is that I've been in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous for many, many years. For 36 years, I have 36 years of sobriety. And during that time, I have done extensive research into the Big Book and into how to practically live, how to live in practical sobriety. And so a lot of people think, well, that's just about drugs and alcohol. It doesn't have anything to do with my life. I'm not addicted to that stuff. But we all have things that we're dealing with. No matter who you are, you have relationships that you're dealing with. You have things that are going on in your life. There's always things going on in your life. You handle death. I can help you with that. When you go through death, that's very trying. That's a very difficult time. Those things we go through. And one of the things about death is that even when you think you're done with it and you've already gone through it, chances are you're going to go through it again. You go through the gamut of bargaining, anger, and you go through all these gamut of emotions when it comes to death, and you're dealing with it the very best you can. But at the same time, what happens is you go through the four phases of handling death over and over and over again until you're able to let go of it. Because really what happens is that the amount of emotion that you go through as a result of death is more than anyone can handle. So we all look at death, and it is not always easy for us to understand that this is a process, because it is more emotion. The emotion is higher than what I'm able to stand, so I can only take it a little bit at a time. So I take a little bit of it at a time, and as a result, I take a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So I go through the process of handling death as I go, and take it piecemeal, one bite at a time, so to speak. And so a lot of things are like that. And you would think that it would just be death that there would be that way, but it's not always. A loss of a relationship can be that way, and you can go through that as a loss of a relationship. And obviously, when you go through a death, yes, that's a loss of a relationship too. But it can be a loss of a relationship with another human being, as in going through a divorce or anything like that, can also calculate in the same way in our emotions, because of our emotional self. It lives on a different plane than what we do. It's just like We have 4 different types of intelligence. I call them types of intelligences because they work independently of each other. And that is intelligence of the mind, the heart, and the flesh, and the spirit. So we have 4 different levels working independently from each other in our system, in ourselves. So it's not always easy. I mean, some people, there's 1,000 books on the shelf that you can read about handling your emotional self, how handling your feelings, and there is literally thousands of books written on that. But not a whole lot is written on the mind. I mean, you have some things that are written on the mind, some things that are written on the emotion, some things that are written on the flesh. Very, very, very few things are written about the flesh. And even those things that are written about the flesh are not usually declared in that way. And so then we have, obviously, there's many things written on our spiritual life. And so you can get a lot of help with those type of things. But that's what I'm starting this YouTube channel for, is to help people to get over some of these things, help people to manage their emotions. It's living life from the inside out. That's what I like to call it. I used to live, and I was affected by everything in life, and everything in life seemed to have more control over me than I had over myself. And I said, I don't want to be giving away my control anymore. I don't want to give whatever happens to me in my life and let that dictate how I live my life. I don't want to live that way anymore. I want to be better than that. I want to improve on that. I want to change that. I want to be able to get up in the morning, and I want to stay sober and clean was what my objective was at first. And to stay sober and clean, I wanted to be able to dictate to my life what I want in my life, and not be always just reacting to life all the time. And that's the way I was living. I was always in a reactionary state to this happen and that happen. The key word of emotion is motion. It's always constantly churning. If I put it inside me, it's always constantly churning, and it is controlling me. I don't want to be controlled by emotions. I want to be able to have a plan and live my life the way I want to. It's like I tell people all the time, nobody stays sober by accident. It doesn't happen. There's no one that stays sober by accident. You plan on staying sober. You get up in the morning, you plan on staying sober and clean. Well, there's a lot of things in life that are that way, not just staying sober and clean, but there's a lot of things in life that are that way. I don't want to be dictated to by life. I would like to be able to live my life in a prescribed manner. That's why I can't live my life off of emotions. Emotions are always a result of. They are always a reaction to life. I don't want to live my life in a reaction mode all the time. I want to be able to plan my life. I want to be able to plan my emotions. And so when I'm able to live a life which I get up in the morning and I plan out, I'm going to stay sober no matter what. And this is not just my plan, but my commitment. And I was thinking about that earlier today. It's a lot of people make a plan on something, they're going to do something, and they never follow through. They never follow through what they planned on doing, and the reason why is because they never committed to it. Now, if somebody told you that, I'd give you $1 million if you did this or that, you'd be a lot more committed to doing it. But if it's just something that you're looking at, maybe this would be a better life for me, maybe I'd be able to do this a little better, then you're not always as committed as you might be. So a lot of times our decisions are that way. We look at it and we say, you know what, I don't like to drink anymore, but I'm not real sure about the sobriety thing either. So my commitment to sobriety is very little, and so it isn't until the obstacle, the reaction that I've had to life, and when it grows bigger, then my commitment to staying sober also grows, because I don't want to have the results that I've had in the past, and therefore I must commit to this a lot more solidly, because I do not like the results I'm being given in life by doing this thing. Well, there's more than just that. This life is that way. It's just like when I talk to young children or young kids, especially young boys. God has given you the power of a man. And so God actually requires us to make sure that what we do with that power that He has given us, we are responsible for what we do. And God holds us responsible for what we do. And so we have to be very careful about those things that we allow in our lives, those things that we do with our lives. Even as a woman, it's the same thing. God has given you power of a woman. And God will hold you responsible for what you do with that power that He has given you. We all have responsibilities in life. We all do things well in one category and maybe not so well in another category. And we might do things good, and in far as like the four intelligences I was talking about, that of the flesh, that of the mind, that of the heart, and that of the spirit. We must have intelligence in all four of these levels to be a well-rounded person. Now, some people have a great amount of intelligence in the mind. They're very methodical. They have a very good mind, but they're not very smart when it comes to their emotions. When it comes to handling their emotions, they really need a lot of help there. Other people are completely unaware of those things in the flesh that are pushing them. They are completely unaware of it. They do not understand what the flesh is or how it is pushing them around in their lives. And other people, they don't have very good understanding of the spiritual life. And so therefore their difficulties is spiritual growth. How do I be able to conduct myself in a manner of living which helps me to grow spiritually? So a lot of people have many different understandings and many different misunderstandings of who God is. God is absolutely for you. He is not against you. He is absolutely for you, and He will guide you in your life if you ask Him. If you ask God to guide you in your life, He will. So we look at all these things, and we will look at more of these things. And I also have graphs that I draw up to explain such things, scriptures that I will be quoting. There's several helpful hints that are in the big book on how to live. And, it's like many people in the program, I've heard them say it over and over again. I wish I could show this to people that are not in the program, because this is such a great way to live, and it's such a great life living this way that, man, I wish I could just share this with my friends. I wish I could share this with other people that don't have addiction problems, because the way of life that we live is such a freeing life, and it is always with God. Always with God. That's the way life is lived successfully in this world. It is a life with God, not a life run on self-will. Self-will run right does not work. And it's easy to see why. So I hope to make another video for you, and I hope that you tune in and see what's going on next, because we're going to start going all sorts of places. This is just the first actually instruction video, and all I'm doing is doing an overview of what we're going to be going over, and it will advance from here. Thank you for watching, and please tune in and click on my channel and become a member of my channel. That would be helpful for me, and I hope that you enjoy the videos that I will start making from here on in. Thank you.